Do it live like Bill O'Reilly says. We do it live. Can anyone hear me? I don't know if you guys can hear this.
I'm not sure how this is happening so close together. I'm not sure if I'm getting a new feed or if I'm getting a different feed. Because my notifications don't get updated right away.
Oh, we get okay. I can hear me. All right, we got it. I think we got it. Alrighty. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube every so often, little gremlins pop up. But yeah, for those of you who wanted, you can hear me. Good. All right. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Renegade podcast. For those of you who were gracious, came a little bit earlier. Yeah, sometimes settings don't take in OBS unless you restart. Yeah, that is true. That is always a possibility.
Yeah, it was probably something on my end. I had to restart OBS.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. But yeah, welcome everyone. But yeah, that music that we were playing was December of 1963. Oh, What a Night by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
And after that little thing, I have to play this clip now.
Where am I? Did I die? Am I in the bad place?
You wish.
Oh, you're in the bad place. No, but in all honesty, it's been very good so far. We've basically started our own. Like right now, the world's practically burning around me. Like we're getting evac orders soon. Like people are talking about evacuating from like their side of San Jose and going into the center of town, and I don't want to be in the center of town. Even people in my job who I work with, over remotely, they want to work in they work in Santa Cruz, and I'm thinking of if things get bad here in California, I'm gonna put my back against the sea. I think that's the best way to do it. If there's like a bunch of wildfires and shit, just put your back against the sea. I think that's the best way to go about doing things. But guess what? I joined a Catholic adventuring party. You hear about that?
What was that?
I'm in a adventuring party with Catholics now. So if there's ever a shit hits the fan scenario, I will work with them.
Ah.
So you got a rogue next to a bunch of paladins and a bunch of lawful good people. What can possibly go wrong? No, well, I mean, let's be frank. You need the rogue so you can go in and sneak behind someone and assassinate the fucker or pick locks and stuff like that. You need somebody like of my roguish talents. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Digital Renegade Podcast. I'm your host, Dashing Rogue, and we had a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning. Again, like the stream states, we're gonna have we're gonna be talking about traditionalism and perennial philosophy 2, the electronic Boogaloo. I'm gonna talk about that, but first I wanted to show this, and I talked about this before on my prior stream I was on Wednesday. That stream actually got flagged very quickly. I think it was because I spoke out against the American Psycho, the nuisance guy, G Nuisance. You know who we're talking about, though. But this is something that I wanted to share with you, Luke. Have you seen this, the new Black Ops Cold War trailer?
Ooh, oh yeah, incorporating the Russian informant.
Yeah, Yuri Bezmenov. And here's the thing:
the one only.
You can show it on the screen for those of you who want to.
This is an interesting direction for the series to go in. I've never been a fan of Call of Duty, but that's interesting. They're you referencing this of all things.
Well, here's the thing: Call of Duty has always had a mix of personal and what have you. So you can play that, see if anyone can hear that.
Let's see what we got here.
Understand what's going on around you. You are in a state of war, and you have precious little time to save yourself.
This is going to get a lot of people indoctrinated into the anti-communist stuff.
4 million views and counting.
It's a slow process, which we call active measures. The first stage being demoralization.
Although, to be fair, communism always comes to America as a small minority trying to manipulate the system, so...
Well, what if I told you that there may actually be that we have been subverted? And again, I'll tell you, I don't trust the right. As we're going to get into later on today, we're going to talk about Bannon, Steve Bannon, and why I think that his small dick energy got his ass kicked out of Trump's cabinet.
It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. The next stage is destabilization. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. The next stage is crisis. With the violent change of power, structure, and economy, period of normalization. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all the schmucks to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., who will promise loads of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfilled or not.
Yeah. The fact that I don't know what they're going to do. Like, here's the thing. Call of Duty has always been political. I hate to be the guy who says this, but it has been. It's been one of those examples where, like, if Metal Gear Solid is the mixing of Tom Clancy and Marvel, then I would say Call of Duty is an example of Michael Bay mixed with, I would say, Tom Clancy. Let me just say that. Like,
that's actually pretty apt.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I will say, I talked about this before about the whole Dugan thing and the Russians. If you look at, I think it's Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which takes place in I'd say post-modern war, because it's like spies and like they have drones and stuff like that. They talk about the drone race. They talk about how we get all of our technology from China and things like that. They talk about how like this one not Russian. He was a I don't know if he was Colombian or Nicaraguan, I believe, but he was a communist who basically hold a grudge and basically used social media and mass media to basically sow a revolution. And that was something that I honestly think was a possibility and still is a possibility for like foreign dictators and people of let's say the communists meant to try to use social media, Twitter, and all this stuff to try to gain support. And so I think it was Raul Menendez. I think it was the main villain of Black Ops 2. So that was something that was interesting. And then, of course, Black Ops 1, they talked about MKUltra and brainwashing and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting. Although I will say this, there were because, again, Black Ops 2 takes place in the near future, right? They had like a warship called the USS Obama. And one of the presidents was a female, white, blonde, blue-eyed president. So again, it's hit or miss sometimes. I do believe that this type of we have to be very careful with this type of information. We have to be very careful with this type of just because we see Yuri doesn't mean that they're going to immediately say that it's the right versus the left. They very well might frame Trump as being the bad guy for all we know, or somebody who's like Trump. And given Activision and Call of Duty's history with flirting with the USS Obama, having a female Hillary president, and all this other stuff, it very well might be a they might be using the proper rhetoric but the incorrect grammar. Isn't
it kind of a joke in like first person shooters where you always think you're going to battle terrorists and it turns out the people directing the terrorists is an evil old white guy?
Pretty much. I mean, it can be. I don't really know, but I'll tell you that was part of one of the things I wanted to talk about because I was very happy. I even said I showed this to Forney. I said, Forney, let me get this done. Let me get this done. I want to be the first one to break this. I want to be the first one to break it because I love Call of Duty. I don't really love Call of Duty, but as much as I love I like the Cold War setting. Like, let me just say this: Call of Duty Black Ops. I love all the guns in it because pretty much every action film that Steven Seagal was in, they used one of their guns in that. So whether they use the FAMAS or any of the other Wonder 9s of the 1960s and 1950s, I just like those guns because I grew up with it. The Cold War arsenal, none of this new Chris Vector crap. But in any case, there is one thing before we get into, because I want to go deep. We're gonna go through all the other stuff first, then we're gonna get to the perennial doctrine stuff. So you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. But I wanted to point this out because no one else is talking about it in this angle. Have you seen? Have you heard about Cuties?
Oh, yes, I have heard of them.
Okay, so
Here it is. Here's a Razor Fist take on the important plot point. If I could play.
Up to speed. Basically, all you need to know is that every single time the character you're playing as has a chance to be betrayed by whomever he happens to be working for at the time, it's going to happen. But I think my favorite bit about this game is that in an effort to be the most unoriginal, spectacularly hollow shooting experience in history, they use the familiar, you think you're fighting Russians, but it turns out the real bad guy is an American cliche to really skullfuck you with no lube in the originality department. You guys voted this direct game of the year? Really? Why? What in the name of K-Swiss-wearing frat guy dipshittery lifts this scat from the pooey depths of ho-hum territory?
the Chris is amazing. It is. I'm not denying it, but there isn't like the Chris Vector and the Chris types of guns are a bit too. Let me just say this: I would probably find a Chris Vector in an Apple store. Like it could definitely look like it's too modern, if that makes any sense. It's a great gun. I will give you that.
Oh, I know what they're going to do. I know what they're going to do. They're going to first they're going to make it all about the influence and destruction. And turns out it's actually Donald Trump. Let me guess.
Well, they'll make the president basically be the again.
It would just be too cliche at this point. I mean, it's just as stupid as I just finally saw the first episode of the free HBO. Like now, the new fad in our age is to have the first episode of a new series on HBO to be free on YouTube, and it's just so dumb. They're taking They're taking the premise of Lovecraft and making it about racism. Like, really? That's all you can do right now? Well,
Lovecraft was a racist.
No,
he did talk about how the white man was superior, and the ancient Babylonians, the Lovecraft creatures were like. I can't remember what the hell he said. Like they were like dumb negroids or something. Like he was like really.
Yeah, he was. But that's the joke, though. Because they're trying to incorporate Lovecraftian monster horror. But the thing is, the point about Lovecraft is that Lovecraft is not a story about people overcoming racism. Because if racism is the new Lovecraftian horror, then the racists are going to win.
Well, not just that. It's also the fact that again. A lot of, if you want to see a good example of like taking down of Lovecraft, or a good example of just Lovecraft in a nutshell, I think it's called. There are these two YouTubers I know. I'm trying to think. I think it's not Ordinary Gamer. What the hell is their name? But they have like tropes, and it's like a red guy and a blue girl. I can't remember their names, but they do drawings and stuff like that. Let's see if I can find them.
I'm looking at
find it. Right.
In the meantime,
overly sarcastic productions. They did a very good takedown of Lovecraft because a lot of the stuff that he says doesn't make any sense. So I wanted, but we're getting off topic. I wanted to talk about the Cuties.
Oh yeah, so we're going to talk first. Let's look at this particular description, and this was not the original description they had, folks.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at the original description.
Oh, but unfortunately I don't have the original right now. But basically, the current description is 11-year-old Amy starts to rebel against her conservative family's traditions when she becomes fascinated with a free-spirited dance crew. But the original description had her girl discovers her femininity by joining a twerking dance group.
Well, let me say this. I have a hot take on this, and I actually want to strain this. Like, I know Beckloff was doing like the whole Mystery Science Career 3000 thing. I wouldn't mind streaming this on like a D Live or something and just riffing the fuck out of it. Because here's my take on this, and you could play the clip, by the way. It's all. By the way, this is a French film. By the way,
yeah, which is the only justification for what we're about to see. I can see.
You can just mute it because I don't want to get hit flagged by Netflix. So basically, the idea is that this young Muslim girl, traditional Muslim girl, is learning to twerk and things like that. She's interested in it. Of course, this is all happening Yeah, see, these girls are all hypersexualized in this film.
Yeah, that right there.
Yeah,
I mean, This looks like a tragic story where these girls are embracing like the whole sexualized culture, only have it backfire on them. But of course, that's not going to happen. That's going to be the whole story is going to be a typical American story.
Nah. I want to tell you just continue with it. Continue. So we have it's conservative Muslim versus liberal. Whippy dibby. Let's do Instagram fame shit. Director said it's a social commentary, but Netflix seems to not get it. Yes, and I'll tell you, this is being, shilled as an exploitation film. And of course, again, they're traditional. They're talking about saying, you're a woman now. No, she's not. She's not a woman. I hate to be the guy who says this, but she's not a woman. Again, these women, again, I hate to be the guy that says this, but my hot take on this is that it's going to be framed like an exploitation film, like the Nazi exploitation genre, or the women in prison genre, or the anti-racism, the black exploitation genre. What this is going to be is basically the Muslims are the good guys. The Muslims are the sane ones. They're the ones saying we're anti-pedophile, we're anti, giving people, letting kids twerk and stuff like that. They're going to be the ones who are going to be the voice of reason in all this.
Oh,
yeah, exactly, because the Muslims are the ones who essentially are going to say these women are right or wrong. And for all we fucking know, what's going to happen is some white guy, some fucking white Jewish guy is going to come out of nowhere and like thirst after some of these girls, and then the Muslim will come in and be the Arabic savior, so to speak. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen, because whoever wins in this conflict, this ideological conflict, whether it be the Muslims with their traditionalist hijab shit, like for all we know, some of these girls, like the white girl, get fucking raped or something in this film. We don't know anything about the plot, but every single fucking conservative, every single sane-minded person reacts, and this is why that's why I'm saying I'm gonna wait till I see the film, then we're gonna go at it, because for all I fucking know, all you guys are doing is contributing to the controversy. All you're doing is becoming a mindless transmitter, a retransmitter, I should say. Granted, you'll have your own commentary, your own opinions on it, but you're still redistributing it, that information. So I'm not really concerned so much about it. It's just a fucking movie. I will say it is pro-pedophilia, or it looks that way.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it's...
Is there actually a scene where they're trying to scrub the blackness from her face? What, like, are they trying to put makeup on her?
They're putting makeup on him.
Like, do they really have to be that aggressive?
No, but just, again, this is one of those instances where we don't actually know if this is a pro-pedophilia movie. It's being advertised as such, but for all we know, it's going to have a good message saying, don't be a whore, be a Muslim, and put a fucking burqa on your face.
If so, then Netflix really dropped the ball on this.
Again, the idea that it's a French art film, and it's from Sundance, and I'm thinking to myself, this is gonna be like an exploitation film. It just feels like this is like, what the hell's her name? Diane Thorne, I think her name is. Diana, the woman who played Ilsa, she with the SS. She's gonna pop out of nowhere, or God forbid, some fucking I'm trying to think, like not Renegade Leota. What the fuck is his name? He was in Space Mutiny. Red Brown's gonna pop out of nowhere, or some other fucking exploitation actor, some B-list actor is gonna pop out of nowhere. Because I do believe that this is gonna have a moral message to it. Don't be a whore. Because again, the Muslims will. Here's the thing: the Muslims will fuck. They do fuck little girls like that. They do. The difference here is that we all know it's bullshit. We all know that those kids are fucked up in the head. We all know those kids are acting like whores. But the thing is, the Muslims are being framed as the good guys. So that's my take on it. That's my hot take. I think that these women are essentially going to be, used at
they're going to be the argument for a pro-Muslim message.
Yes, that's exactly the point. Because let's be frank, only Muslims are going to be the guys who beat, backhand a woman into fucking. Because some of these women need to be hit. I hate to be the guy that says this, they do. Some of these women, they never suffer any consequences, because in civil society, you don't hit people. The thing that I like about hitting people is it's quick and it's straight to the fucking point. Although I will say this, nowadays, again, don't hit your kids. You get in trouble. If there's like a bruise on a kid, and then they go to school, and then they're like, oh my God, it's abuse and shit like that. But in reality, some kids need to fucking be, spanked. Because I'll tell you this, they're kids. They don't understand words sometimes. But that's just my take on it. If Beckloff and Matt Forney would like to watch this, because again, a lot of this stuff is just, again, it smells of exploitation film.
Yeah, it like, even looking at it now, the points are clearly exaggerated. Even the scene where they take a credit card and they're wearing their underwear outside their clothes, like, that's stupid. No one wears that. But that's just to exacerbate this ridiculousess of it. Yeah,
and for all we know, none of these are part of the fucking film. For all we know, this is all like, post shot afterwards and made to look differently. For all we know, they're advertising a pro pedophilia film when it's anti pedophilia. Yeah, we don't know. Now I've sent some of this to Lloyd. I sent my theory to Lloyd. I sent it to Lucian from Freedom Alternative as well. And I haven't heard much from Lloyd, but I have heard that the guy who started or was running the Sundance film was allegedly going after like I think like a 9-year-old or something. Don't worry, guys. Those who like this video will not be put on a watch list. Yeah, they won't. Don't worry about that. Netflix, wow, that has like it's almost a million dislikes.
5 million views and nearly a million dislikes.
And I hate to be the guy who says this, but this is this just smells of fucking an exploitation film.
I mean, this really reminds me of the furor that was surrounding Big Mouth. Remember that little cartoon show from Netflix?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, I won't. I'll just say it. I think somebody's going to make money off these dumb fucking conservatives who react. I don't even say conservatives now that I think about it, just common sense people who are going to, pander to the left, but then do a bait and switch. I guarantee you this is going to be a bait and switch.
Because if you've ever watched like Big Mouth, I mean, on the one hand, it's just too gross for me to watch, honestly. But it's not as exploitative as it's making out. It's not like a pro-pedophilia show. It's although it's not really something you could show to your parents.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The general notion that cartoons are for kids is basically dead. It died in, I would say, 1990s, 1980s with anime. Anime, like if it's anime, you could be sure that like if someone gets a fucking paper cut, they're gonna spill out like it's gonna be like a fucking hemorrhage or something like that. Like they're gonna like just gushes of blood out all over the place with stylized violence. For all I fucking know, this is it just feels like an exploitation film. Let's wait on this.
Although there is a little phenomenon, there is a certain phenomenon I've noticed about anime and animation is that anime is actually at some point, some person pointed out, anime is actually just an advertisement for manga. Because because when you really watch what anime is made and what isn't made, you notice that only a little bit is made so they can advertise other things. And that's kind of true in America because one of the things that's really terrible about the SJW entertainment we're getting in our cartoons is that no one's buying the merchandise. It's like this weird flash in the pan kind of entertainment where we have these really potentially interesting stories that will not be last in the markets. Yeah. For all we know, like here's what I think the plot will be. Everything will happen just like normally would think in this movie, but I think one of these girls will be sexually assaulted. I think either it's going to be the white girl or it'll probably either be the glasses girl. She'll get sexually assaulted in this film, and the woman will basically become a conservative Muslim. She'll be like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm gonna know myself differently. I'm gonna do a I'm gonna be a pro-Muslim. This is why I have to do it. This is why I'm going to do it, and it's gonna be a cautionary tale. I guarantee you of that. And you can stop playing the clip. But yeah, that's my hot take. And you could say, well, you're a pedophile. No, I'm not a pedophile. We shall sign. It's on separate. It hasn't been canceled yet, and so we're going to find out on September 9th.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same freaking time, I'll just say it, guys. Stop reacting. You're doing the same shit that they did. They've been doing this type of crap from the 1960s.
Isn't this how Grand Theft Auto became popular?
Yes, exactly. Again, the French don't give a fuck, and even the French have always been fucking weird. But I wanted to talk more about this. This is something that I'm actually surprised. So apparently, Lori Littlefoot, I guess her name is Lori Lightfoot, Littlefoot. I don't know. She reminds me of Beetlejuice, that fucking weirdo.
Oh, what'd she do this time?
Well, play the clip and you'll find out.
If not, saying that she can have a haircut no one else can, or saying that people can't protest her outside her. Oh no! Oh, what is she doing now?
Just play the clip, Luke. Just play the clip. You gotta trust me.
Accused of hypocrisy for protecting themselves but not their constituents. Protesters are banned on the block where Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot lives, while the city sees a spike in shootings and murders. Lightfoot defended the move. Take a look.
This is a different time like no other. And I'm not going to make any excuses for the fact that given the threats that I have personally received, given the threats to my home and my family, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they are protected.
She's like an undead. She's like a zombie
whatsoever for that.
No, she looks like a fucking zombie. Like her fucking eyes are so sunk into her fucking skull. Like she's either very dehydrated or like she has leather skin. She looks just like I'd say like a black version of what the hell's his name? The Ku Klux Klan guy. What the hell's his name? He was a Grand Wizard. He was in the alt-right. David Duke. David Duke looks bad. He looks like he's just like skin and bones, literally. Hey, Slotskin, how you doing? Welcome, by the way. Oh, what species is that mare? I don't know. I think it's undead. It's definitely undead. I'll tell you that because, you know, the people at the Revenge of the Sith, they're like, oh, she's Beetlejuice. She's totally...
Boy, do you know how to pick them. Let me ask you something. Is this relationship really solid? Do I have a shot at her at all? Excuse me. Sure. Am I overstepped my bounds? Just tell me. Come on.
You know, I never was a big fan of that movie. I don't like dark things. I don't like spooky, like I just don't like Tim Burton. Like Tim Burton to me is just too depressing. Like the same thing with Lemony Snicket's It's a Series of Unfortunate Events. I just don't like being depressed. Hey DZ, how you doing?
Yeah, well, I like Beetlejuice primarily because of the cartoon series. I never even knew there was a movie until years later.
Oh, dude, you know, yeah, I've heard a lot of people. I've never seen the cartoon series. I know that there was like a lot of cartoon series of like films from the 1980s. Like there was Dumb and Dumber had a cartoon. And then they had, I believe it was the Beatlejuice had a cartoon.
Oh yeah, everything with cartoon idea with Jim Carrey had a cartoon for some reason. Like Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura did have a fucking. Oh my god, he did. I can remember. He was fucking mooning people. Oh god, that's. Yeah, but essentially the problem here is this bitch, this fucking undead whore. She fucking, she basically, you know, disarms the population, and then she makes it so that the police will only protect her. Which I'll just say it right now. I want to be the guy who like infiltrates, like goes through the sewers or something, and then goes to her house and just leaves a fucking rose right on her fucking bed or something. Not like nothing gay or like, you know, sexual or anything, but I just want people to know that we can get to her. You know, that's sort of the notion that I want. Because this bitch is literally, you know, she's letting her entire city burn. She's disarmed the population so they can't defend themselves. And she's made it so that nobody can protest against her, which is a direct violation of the First Amendment.
And to top it all off, she doesn't care. I mean, Chicago has these like lesser governors, like I think they're watchers or something. And he basically said, look, we don't want these rioters in our neighborhood. What do we do when they stop rioting the seas and come to the neighborhood? He says, oh, yeah, next question. Like,
No. You don't get to have next question with me, you fucking cunt.
Oh, and he said that. No, you don't get to do that. He told her. He told her off.
No, John, I will not be signing up for the new Fed Wignat party. And in fact, I'm going to talk about that specifically because I'm of the opinion that we have a lot of, not necessarily feds per se, but I'll tell you, I'm not one of the people who keeps blaming our government. I blame foreign governments. And there's enough evidence. The whole reason I think it was what was it? It was the project or operation. I can't remember what it was, but it was, it was basically where they had feds infiltrate like the Black Panther Party, the white nationalist parties in the 1960s, and all these civil rights parties. The reason they did that was specifically to stop foreign agitators from using those particular parties to instigate political revolution and political change for another party, for another country, you know. So, you know, the Black Panthers were susceptible to being manipulated by the Soviets. Same thing with the white nationalists. I mean, for fuck's sake, if you want an example of this, go look up, what's his name? His name was Francis Parker Yockey. He fucking practically killed him. He killed himself with a cyanide pill to escape CIA custody. Okay, this guy was legitimately working with, I think it was Gerald Matsov, I believe the name was. He was the Egyptian president. He was one of these people who believed that the Soviets were good. They were good boys. They didn't do nothing. And it was all the Jews' fault. And therefore, Muslims and white nationalists should work together against the Zionist American empire, you know. Guy killed himself. And he had connections to the Soviet Union. He thought that, you know, the Soviet Union was going to be the same type of hierarchy that the traditionalist, you know, medieval society was going to be. So you'd have the inner party, and then you'd have like the nobility, and then you have the proletariat, which is like the serf and a bunch of other shit. Kind of like he basically bought into the whole notion of the perennial doctrine, where that no matter where you go, one time there will always be a hierarchy, and that hierarchy will be based on authority, not based on truth. John Smith says, Richard Spencer tweet, I plan to vote for Biden and a straight Democratic ticket. It's not based on accelerationism, or it is. When he brought that up, or anything like that. The liberals are clearly the more competent people. Oh, fuck you, Spenny. Spenny, what are you doing? Yeah, the important part of Marxism was the demand for active, constant, practical class warfare. Francis Parker Yockey, that guy. Well, yeah, Spencer's a Satanist, dude. I think I sent you the links on the last time. He's a Satanist. Okay, a lot of these people in the alt-right are fucking flat out, ideologically connected to Satanism in some way or another.
Why do people listen to him still?
Probably, well, I'll say it because they have to go all the way. They've destroyed their lives. They're stuck in an echo chamber now. There's no way to get out of it. How can they get out of it? They can't go home. The only thing they have is death or victory. Because at the same time, if I was, if I pissed off my parents to the point where I can't go over to them, even if I'm like down on my luck, I lose my house, fire burns it down, it might actually happen. I need to be able to say, Mom, Dad, I lost everything. Can you please take me in? Some of these people who are on Spencer's side, and some of these, Antifa have gone all the way. They all they have is the movement. They've lost their friends. They're unemployable. So they're basically just a powder keg waiting to go off because society has rejected them. This is why one of the reasons on Digital Renegade podcast we have the term "saving the West" as a side quest. Don't be one of these guys who lays down your life and your reputation and everything that you are and can be for Spencer or for Enoch or for Ben Shapiro or for Biden. Don't do it. Take care of yourself first. Save yourself.
Yeah, they are exhibiting what could be called cult behavior. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, and the sad part here is that people like I'm going to criticize Ben Shapiro here, and as well as Jordan B. Peterson. If you wanted these people to stop being accelerationists and stop being radical, accept them, hug the Nazi, don't punch the Nazi, hug him and accept him for where he is, and then have a dialogue. I think there was a What's up?
Oh, unless it's like a crazy psyop. Do you remember that South Park episode where the South Park want to change the flag to something less racist or something, and there's the Klan actually comes to defend the flag?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there are two people infiltrated and says, I say we should change the flag. What? Think about it. Whatever we vote for, the people are going to do the opposite. So maybe if we vote, so the implication being that Richard Spencer's doing, if I say vote Democrat, everyone's going to want to vote Republican.
I don't know about that. I know.
Richard Spencer's just getting attention right now. It's just that's because the first article I popped up says white supremacist Richard Spencer says he plans to vote Biden straight Democrat tickets.
Well, I hate to be the guy who says this, but I do believe the guy is just I'll just say it. Spencer is a asset of Russia. I believe that Enoch has become an asset. I do know for certain that Matthew Heimbach is a Duganist. We know this. The whole trad worker party. They're not talking about traditional like in trad, cornfields and fucking grain. They're talking about the what is it? They're talking about the perennial doctrine. That's what they're talking about. Now, Slitskin says, is it Stiltskin? It's Stiltskin, right? Stiltskin, like Rumpelstiltskin, I assume. What is a Nazi? Well, a Nazi, I assume, would be a National Socialist German worker, part of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Although I will say this, like Forney said, a lot of the people who tried to start Nazism in, let's say, the UK or United States, Hitler basically said, no, start your own movement. This is exclusively for Germans at this time, at this particular place. I will say this: white supremacists and white nationalists, those are the ones you got to watch out for because they're the people who, if you the problem with the white nationalists is they want to be able to have like state-sponsored girlfriends or state-sponsored, like they want to be able to get laid. That's what this is all about, and I don't blame them. When you give people money specifically so they can, because they're black, and then you give them scholarships because they're, women, you get a really mixed, really fucked up dating market where, there's a bunch of interracial marriages because only people who are of interracial, whether they be black, white, purple, orange, basically not white men and not Asians. I say not Asians as well because Asians get discriminated heavily as well. You get a really weird warped dating market where only people who get the handouts succeed. So it's very fucked up in that regard. That's why I'm a nativist, not a white nationalist, because I know that if we have native sentiment and we get rid of all this other extracurricular crap, like giving blacks handouts for like scholarships because they're black, not because of their academic vigor or anything like that.
Have you seen the accidentally controversy with Daryl Davis?
Daryl Davis? Oh,
he's the black man who befriends Klansmen and then gets him out of the Klan.
Yeah,
he has an interview with a Klansman who says, "Why is it some Klansmen allow white nationalists and Nazis into the group?" And the Klansman's like, "Well, no, they're not. The Klan is uniquely American. These people want an ethno state. That's not American."
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that the Klan at the end of the day, they want to be able to have their own little nation state that's not a nation state that still pays taxes. They want to be able to say, we only want whites in this area, and you can do whatever you want in your county, but I'm going to do it in my county. And there's a certain, I like the idea of having their own little county. The difference here is that, let's be frank, guys, you need to a month, $100 from a black guy and $100 from an Asian guy, $100 from a white guy. It's all $100. I don't care about that. What I do care about is when you have when you give people success, when you give people the ability to have kids and the ability to have a good job, and it's only because of their race, not because of their skill set, not because of their color, not because of their color, but because they didn't earn it. That's when I have a problem. Go ahead, play your clip.
If I could play.
Hey, sir. Whiskey. Hey, Jefferson, there's a switch for you. This got that mansion you living in your pocket, then going to work for me. Because if you got enough green in your pocket, then black becomes his favorite color.
All right, so I wanted to show some of, because I might be evacuating from my apartment.
Oh yeah, how is that going anyway?
Well, apparently, the world is burning, and I keep saying until the world ends, we'll continue to act as though it will keep going. This was taken from a couple days ago, but it's still relevant. I mean, we're still waiting for it's because the Silicon Valley is becoming the planet Venus. Because if you look and just play the clip, Luke.
Okay, let's see if I can get this playing.
That's the sun.
What the? Oh wow, yeah. The sun through this. Oh, wow, the sun right through the smoke. Oh yeah, it's
it's very humid right now, and I don't want to turn on my AC because I don't want to let that smoke in, and it's very hard to breathe.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's getting bad out here.
This reminds me of that Superman episode where someone takes some technology and makes the sun red to defeat Superman because he gets power from the yellow sun.
Yeah, which that doesn't make any sense. Here's another one. This is a fire approaching I-80 from Vacaville Airfield.
This is horrifyingly beautiful. Like, this stuff should be referenced in artwork, but it's like horrifying.
Yeah, it reminds me of there's a battlefield map called Verdun Heights. It really does remind me of Verdun Heights.
Oh,
I'm like,
that would be terrifying to see in real life.
Oh yeah, dude.
It'd be miraculous, but you're just hoping that the fire doesn't spread to the road. Please, traffic, don't stop. Traffic, don't stop.
Traffic, don't stop. Yeah, don't stop. Just keep moving. Just keep on fucking moving. Because at this point, the whole world is like, right now, I had to go out into it because I'm still doing the Santa Clara citywide cleanup where I'm picking up, video games and picking up, consoles and things like that people just discard. I found an SKS stock, believe it or not, today. I found a SKS foldable stock, but I didn't pick it up and then take it with me because I don't have an SKS. And it's illegal to have. You can't have a foldable stock and have an SKS.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, the fire is burning, chaos all over the place.
California, here we come.
Oh, dude, I love that song. I actually want to see. Oh, speaking of which, one of the things I did manage to pick up at some point was I managed to pick up a bunch of older video games, but also I found a bunch. I have all the Family Guy seasons now. I have almost pretty much every DVD out there. I'm set for there's another lockdown where I have to just sit inside and wait until winter is over and the White Walkers just pass by us or something. But it's fucking bad out there now. Are you like Argent, our rich kid in it? No, I'm not a rich kid. I come from a working class background. I am not rich by any stretch of the means. In fact, most of the rich kids, they don't like me. They don't like me simply because I'm the kind of guy who will not take shit from people. I will not take shit, and I will give shit. to people. I oftentimes, I think a friend of mine from Croatia stated to me that I'm like Robin Hood, and everyone else is like a knight in shining armor, and I'm the guy who's just basically going around shanking people. I'm like Bronn from Game of Thrones. Everyone wants to have honor and all this stuff. Well, you know, you can be honorable all you want, but it's gonna get you killed eventually. So that's how I am in that regard. But yeah, besides that, let's move on to the Perennialist doctrine. I wanted this is a longer video. This is a long video, but this is a review of War for Eternity. It's from another YouTuber that has 267 subscribers. So go subscribe to him if you feel like it. But it's an interview of Benjamin Tenenbaum, who has spoken with I believe, the gentleman by the name of Steve Bannon. He's spoken with him and he interviewed him. And I wanted to just go through these points. Go all the way to the beginning. Go to the beginning because I wanted to we're just going to go through it real quick.
First, let me impersonation of you with rich people.
My father, a man of the world, you're strangely naive.
I've never borrowed money before. I'm not clear on the rules.
Well,
I'm not really clear on the rules either, to be honest. I don't really know. That's why I never had a credit card, and I'm never going to.
War for Eternity, philosophy of the new far right. Tenenbaum.
What's up?
I'm just reading the title.
I can't hear you. You're gonna have to turn that shit down.
I'm just reading the title.
Oh, okay. You can mute it. Turn down a bit.
Yeah. Intro.
Yeah, speed it up a bit. I've got all day. I want to keep my subscribers happy.
Actually pretty excited for this. This is the first three-way conversation that Daniel and I have been done. The podcast started with me and my friend Dylan, but then he moved off to Canada for a bit. He's currently living out in the woods in Canada, off-grid somewhere.
I hope he doesn't get raped by a Rainy.
It's been me for a while, but we go anywhere else.
Well, the title, I mean, it would be more accurate as a representation of the content if it were Behalf of Eternity. But that's not quite as sexy. But really, it comes, there might be more intrepid podcasts who might know this. It's a slight variation on a phrase that Alexander Dugin used in a speech that, where I met him, this is in Stockholm, in 2012. He gave a speech where he said we should not fight for the past that has passed, but rather for the eternity that is contained in traditional culture, something to that effect.
That makes no sense.
The idea of fighting on behalf of eternity against progress, it's so core to what the book is about, and I happen also to think it sounds kind of badass, so we stuck with it. Twisted a little bit, but stuck with it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And I guess I've not read the book. I would love to get my hands on it, but I'm
going to get my hands on it as well.
It's around this new traditionalist movement, right? And some of these thinkers of the contemporary far right, and indeed how they may be underpinning the thought of Steve Bannon. Is that correct? And can you say a bit more on
correct? Yes, absolutely. I mean,
on who these guys are and what the broad implications of their thought is.
Yeah, it's a wide topic because the implication of the thought, there are very few absolutes, and most people who fall into this category vary the thinking of traditionalists in some way or another. But the traditionalism that I'm following is one that comes from a man named Renegade, who was described as a philosopher of the East. Some people, but it's his philosophy and his traditionalism that comes via another figure named Julius Evola, who was an Italian. Some people call him proto-fascist. I sometimes think that's a misleading way to think about it, but certainly a reactionary, anti-liberal, anti-modernist ideologue who collaborated with the Mussolini government, was interested in Nazism and in supporting
Julius Evola virus, which I just don't like.
In fact, too.
But what I want to say was, so who is Rene Golan? Rene Jean Marie Joseph Goulon, which I guess that's the pronunciation in French. I don't know why the French have only the freaking what do you call it? Only the Spanish have longer fucking words. Like look up Charlo's long her real name. The 80s actress Charlo. Kichi, that girl. Yeah, look her up sometime. Any case, so also known as, oh boy, this guy's a Muslim, Abdul Wahhabi. It's after his conversion to Islam. This guy is a Frenchman who converted to Islam. So that's the first red flag. author and intellectual who remains an influential figure in the domain of mysticism. Hot dog. Having written on topics ranging from sacred studies, which I will look at that in a second, traditional studies, which is talking about the traditionalist school, and symbolism and initiation. An initiation is basically the notion that you join the club. It's like a hazing ritual or some shit. In fact, I'm looking at this, and apparently a bunch of Pajeets are fucking hazing each other. Here you go. But let's see. He mainly wrote about and published in French, and his works have been translated into more than 20 languages. Later he perfected his Arabic in 1931. Onwards, wrote articles in that language in journals, in the journal Al Mafira, I think it's called. While outside French and Arabic, he had command over Latin, Greek, Hebrew, English, German, Italian, Spanish, Russian, Polish. Oh my God, that's a lot. Able to talk with native speakers in these tongues. He's considered to be an important writer of the traditionalist school. So that's who we're talking about. So we're dealing with a Muslim who's basically pushing the perennial doctrine, which is basically the notion that all religions are pretty much telling the same thing, which is bullshit. You know, look up the Virgin Mary and Muhammad to get an example of why that's bullshit. But continue, Luke.
Meek, and saw himself as being beyond both of them. He saw them both as promising starts. So that's the kind of degree of radicalism, if we want to think in those terms. Evola becomes icon to far-right activists slowly and kind of sporadically in the years after World War II, and eventually finds his thought in Alexander Dugin, thereafter by Steve Bannon and some others. So it's the book. I think one thing is fairly affirmative about the work that I've done. This isn't just a passing interest on Steve Bannon's part. He really has read deeply into Evola and has also tried to act and network based on that interest. So, but traditionalism, if you want to get the building blocks of it, to the extent that it has mattered to far-right activism, it really circulates around two concepts. One of them is cyclic time, the belief that rather than trajectory teleology, where we're going to see possibly the possibility of better and greater societies than have ever existed, that instead we are in a pattern of constant return. And more specifically,
time is a flat circle. That's one instance of it. But no, in reality, this is the biggest problem I have. Yes, there is a circular flow to history, but history doesn't repeat it right.
Time is linear, but human society is cyclical.
Yeah, exactly. There will be a rise and fall, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen. And this is something that you're going to see. Keep playing it.
Ages, golden age, silver age, and dark age. And thus that the cycle, for the most part, is one of decline. And save one cataclysmic moment when dark goes to gold, everything is always getting worse all the time. The second key concept from traditionalism clarifies the first one. It tells us what is golden and what is dark. And broadly speaking, traditionalists would follow the Indo-European caste hierarchy, which is, I think, best known these days in Hinduism, where in an ideal society, and especially early or Middle mind, you would have a sort of stratified system with priestly castes on top of society, and not
or the Supreme Soviet power, but the proletariat. So you'd have the kings and the noblemen, and you'd have the Supreme Soviet, and you'd have the inner party, the outer party, and the bourgeoisie. So this is one of the reasons why I'm against perennialism, is because it's basically, hierarchy based on authority, not based on truth. And they can't even decide what truth is. They just know truth exists. Wolfgang Pepper says, good times, weak men, hard times, strong men, strong times, make good times repeat. Yeah, and I'll tell you this, who determines what's strong and what's weak? I'm not the best fighter, but I know how to pick a lock. Can you pick a lock? Can anyone know how to pick a lock? Can anyone know how to, survive and what have you? Because again, this is the biggest problem, because they have to describe what is weak and what is strong. And they will always say that they're the strong ones, you're the weak one. And it just gets into a propaganda problem. Truth is whatever the leader says it is, don't you know? Exactly. That's the whole point. Continue playing it, Luke.
Culture, politics, and everything. That would descend to a warrior caste, to a merchant caste, and to a slave caste. And as time goes on, those four castes correspond to the four ages of the time cycle I was talking about. So in a golden age, the hierarchy is complete and priests are on top and spirituality reigns. As that time cycle progresses or advances, let's say, Sorry. As it advances, hierarchy itself disintegrates, and you eventually see a leveling of society to the level of the slave, and materialism overtakes spirituality. And broadly speaking, social differentiation and stratification as a principle dissolves as well, and it's replaced by mass society and homogeneity. Everyone is leveled to the lowest value. So those are the two basic principles. Where traditionalists will tend to vary is, how literally they take all that, and also what they put into. Elias Avila was very famous for loading up a great number of parallel hierarchies corresponding to spirituality and materialism. He has a complicated understanding of race that opposes Aryans on top to non-Aryans on the bottom, men to women on the bottom, or if not even men, it's probably by masculinity opposite femininity.
I'm not seeing the point of this.
Well, the point I'm trying to get across here, and I'll explain it to you, is that this gives you more of an idea of what they believe. They do believe in hierarchy, but the problem fundamentally is, in their hierarchy, it's deterministic, it's fatalistic, and he even goes on to say it was never meant to be political. That's the main thing, because if you make it political, you will get people who will say, we're the priest caste. The world's in shit right now unless you elect us. Unless you elect the proper people, the Brahmin class or the Supreme Soviets or the king or the monarch. And that's another thing I want to bring up, because all the monarchists in fucking trad Catholic circles, they're the ones who are basically saying we need to have return. We have to sell out all our freedoms to the Pope or the Vatican, or we need to give big government everything. This is basically what happens when you make the traditionalist school or the perennial doctrine a fucking political philosophy. It's fatalistic. There's no change. There's no such thing as progress, and therefore you must submit. That's basically what that is. So I'm not going to go too deep into it because Luke's getting bored, and I'm getting bored. I'm getting bored.
Here it is.
To ask what this means is to miss the point. The sentence beats readers into submission and instructs them that they are in the presence of a great and deep mind. Actual communication has nothing to do with it.
Monarchists are the worst. I personally hate monarchists. I mean, I've encountered a few monarchists, and I'll just tell you a little story real quick. The piece of shit, I was showing him respect, and I was just casually making fun of his woman, and he thought I was challenging him because I was looking him in the eye. So that's an idea of the monarchist, because a lot of these people come from rich. Like one of the things I was looking into, there's a gentleman I watched. His name is Frank Smith. Is it John Smith or Frank Smith? I'm trying to look him up. But essentially, he's a very, very good... welcome, Donovan Warland. That's very nice for you to stop by. I'll read off this comment real quick. These thinkers love the Catholics and the imams for their exclusivity and hate Americans for their storefront churches and barbecues. Exactly. The biggest problem I've encountered with these people is that they want to be the priest caste, and they will rationalize and they will, lie, bend the fucking truth again and again and again and again and again, just so they can basically say, well, I deserve to be at top. And the reason the world's falling apart is because I'm not at top. And then they get to say why the world's falling apart. They get to say what is falling apart. And guess what? The world is always in flux. Okay. The fires are burning here, but guess what? That doesn't necessarily mean that every single time. Yeah, Wolfram Pepper says, I'm descended from nobility, I'll be the king. Yeah, well, you better. I hope not. I mean, I don't want to have a king.
I mean, if I was ever in that lucky enough to be in a position to be the person that people appoint to be the king, my first job would be to cut myself from the political process, because I know how corrupt I would be with it.
Well, I would probably be like Lelouch v. Britannia from Code Geass, and I'd probably work with the people as opposed to work within royalty, because I think royalty's... Let me just say this. If you're a royalty, you're fucking inbred. You're a fucking inbred, and you want to see in the case in point of that, look up the fucking, what was it, the Austro-Hungarians? I think when they cut open one of the Austro-Hungarian dynasty guys, he was basically just made of water. Like he had like his testicle was like fucking coal, essentially, when the autopsy happened. I think it was the Habsburgs. That's right, the Habsburgs. Those are the fuckers. That's one reason why you don't have monarchies, because these pieces of shit, they inbreed all the fucking time. And
why do they do that? Why do people do that?
Oh, because they're magical blood, don't you know? And again, the UK, I think the UK actually did it right, to be honest. I think that like some of the like again, not to bash the UK royalty or whatever, before I even get a chance to, or to meet them, but I think that some of them have German blood in them. I think there was like an intermarriage between like the British royalty and the German monarchy at one point, but they intermarry all the time. Yeah, Code Geass is a badass anime. I'd highly recommend you look into it.
Which one?
Code Geass.
Code Geass. What's that?
Code Geass is basically an alternate reality version of. Essentially, it takes place in an alternate reality where Britain basically beat America in the Revolution, and they got kicked out.
Oh, Code Geass, right.
Yeah. But one of the things I wanted to point out, and I was talking about it, if I can remember exactly what it was I've been reading a lot of this gentleman by the name of Luke Smith. If you look up Luke Smith on YouTube, he's big into like IT, but he's also considered a tech boomer. Or he's called the Uniboomer, as people call him, because he works in tech, but he only works with open source software. He's very big into privacy. He was a follower of Uncle Ted Kaczynski. And one of the things I liked about him is he brought up this book called this book by this author by the name of, I believe his name was Joseph Thumper, I believe his name is. Let's see if I can find it here. And he talked about how he talked about how socialists basically hated the capitalism will lead towards corporatism and what have you. And I'm of the opinion that that's basically it. But I recommend him. He's the shout out for this week. Go look up his stuff. Let me see what else I got here. Let's see what else we got. All right. Oh yeah, here's one we got for you. So let's see if we can continue with this. Going back on the perennial doctrine, I wanted to like really like here's a Christian perennialist versus interview on orthodoxy and perennial philosophy. I want to read a little bit of this, just a bit of it, because again, we all know that orthodoxy is garbage. We all know that that a lot of this stuff is basically used and manipulated.
What is this interview about?
The guy's basically saying he's a Christian and that he follows all the paths and all this other junk.
Meaning,
yeah,
what are paths?
Paths to the truth, because don't you know everybody's telling this truth, don't you know? It's all the same.
Boring. What is wrong with these people?
Boring.
Well, they're deluded. I mean, they're trying to say that every way is the right way, which is another way of saying that no way is the right way.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons I don't like them. But one of the things I will talk about, let's see if I can find it here, is there was a book I was looking into called Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy by Joseph the hell's his name, Schumpner. And I actually think it's a very interesting book. Basically talks about social theory, and he talks about how class and a bunch of other crap. I'd look into that. I can't remember what the hell I was going to say about it. Let's see. Oh, I got my better notes. The point is that perennialism is garbage. Stay away from it. Anyone who brings it up, just troll them. Troll them for attention, because they want to have you'll be surprised at how easily they could rationalize shit away with their bullshit perennialist doctrine. But yeah, that's pretty much. Oh yeah, here's one. Here's one for you.
Here's a quick little segment.
Know who he was. Charles II of Spain. Now we turn to Habsburg inbreeding, a house with a very shallow gene pool. We should mention again that inbreeding between European nobility was very common, but not all offspring ended up badly made. This wasn't the case for Charles II, whose father and mother were uncle and niece. This had a nasty effect on his appearance, and he was nicknamed the Bewitched. One historian writes that not-so-bonny King Charlie was short, lame, epileptic, senile, and completely bald before 35, always on the verge of death, but repeatedly baffling Christendom by continuing to live.
Oh.
Fuck. Yeah. It's almost as if progress and, God forbid, diversity of genetics actually has a benefit. At least in the context of not fucking your sister. You know?
I mean, the Bible condemned this level of behavior.
Yeah, it did. And it's weird because, a lot of these heathen hierarchies that exist are just, let's be frank here. the whole higher. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of these traditionalists push out this bullshit of, oh, we just all need to have sex. We all need to, we all need to fuck our sisters. I mean, it's fucking inspired by Islam. I mean, why wouldn't they? But what I wanted to say is I wanted to talk about this because this is something that's going on, and I do believe that we're going to eventually have a. There's one of Putin's political rivals. You're going to see this a hell of a lot more. This is from Fox News. Play it.
What's this?
Play it.
A spokesperson for a prominent critic of Vladimir Putin says Alexei Navalny is in a coma and on a ventilator after suspected poisoning before boarding a flight from Siberia to Moscow. Amy Kellogg on the story from London. Amy.
Hi, Harris. Well, Alexei Navalny is the one person in Russia right now who can really rally the crowds. His YouTube videos, which document official corruption, get millions of views. He has been in and out of jail over the last few years on one pretext or another, but this apparent poisoning takes the level of peril he has faced to a new level. Navalny's in a coma at this Siberian hospital, as you mentioned, on a ventilator, as doctors try to determine what happened to him. He was on a plane when he fell ill this morning, and they made an emergency landing. His spokeswoman believes that tea he drank in the airport before departure was laced with poison, because that is the only thing he consumed this morning. Some say for those who would not like to worry about revolution or further big opposition rallies in Russia, having Navalny sick or somehow out of commission is convenient. But the Kremlin says, Harris, that it is following this story just like the rest of us, wishing Navalny well and at his family's disposal. We'll see, though, if the Kremlin actually...
Right.
So what's his position? What's his story?
Well, basically, his position is that he's basically calling out the Soviet boomer Vladimir Putin and saying that there's corruption here. We need to change. He's basically, a reformer. He doesn't want, the same thing that Vladimir Putin wants, and therefore he's got killed. He's being killed for it. And he's calling out about all these oligarchs. And I think that if anyone was actually wanted change, you'd support this guy. I would support him. But again, the thing is that, I'm of the opinion that the four great major evils of my generation are communism, Islam, China, and Russia. Those are the four great evils of my nation, of my time. And I could explain every one of them. Communism, or as I should say, socialism, because what that ultimately is weaponization of government and big institutions. That's all you really need to know what a socialist is. It's weaponization of the many against the few. Islam, because let's be frank, fucking little girls and fucking goats is not acceptable. And then we have China, which they're some of the most racist fuckers out there. I mean, go look up some of their detergent commercials as an example of this. And I'd say the fourth one almost certainly is Russia, because the Russians are being run by the Soviet boomers who are still alive, even though, they really should just die the fuck out already, get drunk and, just die of cancer or something. Fuck. Well, the reason I bring this up is because the Russians do want to essentially create a new Soviet empire. They want that. They want empire. The problem here is that everyone doesn't want them to have an empire. Wolf and Pepper says, a good book to read on how government and hierarchy works is Dictator's Handbook. Why bad governance is almost always good politics. I will look that up. I don't really read a lot anymore, but I gotta start reading more. I'm more of an audiobook guy. I'll try to get on audiobooks. But yeah, so I didn't really have much this week, simply because there wasn't a lot to cover. I mean, there were the Portland riots, but ultimately speaking,
Go up. Sorry, I stumbled on this video. It's it's the interesting phenomenon of parents saying, teachers telling parents that they're not allowed to watch their kids in their digital classrooms.
Oh yes, I've that's never going to be enforced. By the way, that's never going to be enforced because there's no way you can know for certain. I mean,
that's impossible. There's no way that you could enforce that.
And the sad part here is that the majority of, if perennialism is true. Just for the sake of it, then a lot of these teachers would be out of jobs, or they would be having jobs, I should say, because they would be the ones teaching it. But the problem with perennial doctrine is that nothing is defined. Nothing is defined. Everything is open for interpretation from one person or another, but you have the wrong interpretation. But yeah, I mean, the world's burning. We're having rolling blackouts. It's getting to the point where I'm kind of nervous because there are certain power stations nearby me that basically want me to Well, if they catch fire, I'm going to lose power.
What is
very up here? What's up?
What is the purpose of a rolling blackout?
Well, that's so we save power. We don't overwhelm the system.
But
the power
people are using it. I mean, they're going to need it for the heat.
Yeah, but they need it to maintain emergency medical areas and what have you.
Is there no way to do both? I mean, what happened? It's California, for crying out loud.
Well, apparently, again, we our infrastructure, we basically went green, right? And therefore, you have to have like solar, you have to have wind, and that takes space. And if the fire damages that infrastructure, you're not gonna get out.
Just go. Yeah, they really should just go nuclear and figuratively and literally, and just save us themselves the trouble.
Well, I heard thorium reactors are pretty good, but I don't want an RPMK reactor. I don't want that near me.
Oh no, you don't. Especially if you're not going to actually make a containment building around it.
Jesus Christ. No, but in all honesty, I mean, the world is getting better and better, and it's getting worse and worse. I personally think that we're going to have a civil war of some sort here.
That's the joke. The world, the technology is getting better and better, but our use of it is getting worse and worse. Like our complete devotion. Like, have you seen the Michael Moore's documentary Planet of the Humans?
I have not seen that.
It is scathing. It is a scathing rebuking of the green movement, and it's just one of the things I didn't know about this is there's a renewable fuel called biomass. Do you know what it is?
Shit.
Wood chips.
Wood chips?
Yes, they burn wood chips as a means of renewable energy. And there are thousands and thousands of these things all over the country. Forgive my ignorance, but didn't we burn coal because it's more efficient than burning wood?
I don't really know much about thorium in that regard, Mr. Wolf. I don't know enough about it, but I do know that thorium reactors are like the big thing that all the techies are talking about. All I know is that if it gets bad enough, I'm definitely going to be putting my back to the sea. I'm going to be going with my adventuring party, and yes, I have an adventuring party. It's a bunch of paladins and a bunch of lawful good and neutral good people who I'm probably the only chaotic good person in the whole party. But I'm basically going to be the guy who's going to be the majority fighting and the majority of sneaking and shit. But yeah. I'm pretty much done for the night. Hey, John. And the solar panels are made from coal. Are they?
Yes, they're a combination of quartz and coal. I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'll show you. Watch it. It's for free. The documentary's free. I just watched that. They don't offer any bare solutions because we have too many people on the planet. But I'll share that video with you.
Go ahead, share it with me. I'd like to see it.
Well, I'll send it to you, but it's like it's a Michael Moore documentary, so it's like an hour and a half long. Oh, but I'll play that one clip if it won't censor us.
Michael Moore, I'm sure. We're an educational institution, Mr. Moore.
Although technically, it was originally banned on YouTube for a little bit, and you can only watch it on BitChute, but now you can.
I don't know. All I know is that saving the West is a side quest, and you gotta prepare for November. I'm at the point where. You should have a chaotic evil werewolf in your party. Makes things more fun. No.
Here it is.
Play it. I want to see it.
The solar panels. I did not know this either.
And if we're just creative enough, if we're just ingenious enough, and if we just work hard enough, we will triumph. Seeking technology.
This will do it for
somehow different from fossil fuels. Well, I hear a lot of times that solar cells are made out of sand.
Have you ever thought about solar panels? The main ingredient that makes them work is silicon or sand.
This is the raw material chips are made of, sand.
They don't use sand at all. So they use, I'll show you what. So this is one of the ingredients. It's actually mined quartz.
Spruce Pine, North Carolina, regarded as the finest source of high-purity quartz in the world for semiconductor, solar, and communication applications.
But you can't use sand because sand has too many impurities. So you start with a very high-quality quartz and a very high-quality coal. And then you put those two together into an arc furnace and you melt them.
The quartz is then melted with coal in a large furnace at temperatures of up to 1,800 degrees.
So you need more coal to do that. So I get another coal out. So when we melt these together, we get silicon metal and carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide just goes off and you get rid of the carbon, you're left with silicon metal. This is not clean coal.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh.
Well, the truth be told, Mr. Wolf, is that again, I'm more chaotic good or chaotic. I skirt chaotic neutral every so often, but yeah, I don't know why you call yourself a werewolf. I don't know what's with werewolves or what have you. But yeah, I'm more concerned about werewolves specifically because there's a bunch of connotations that the Nazis as well as a couple Satanists out there who have that they really do like the werewolf iconography. So I'm very nervous about that, even though you've been nothing but helpful on Discord. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I still have a Discord set up. I recently took down, I believe it was the SoundCloud simply because only 1 or 2 people were using it, and I needed to save the cache. But let's see. Stiltskin says John Collins. Yes, John Collins is badass. Brother John is a badass. He's very good at calling out hippies and SJWs and what have you. But I will say this. I think in the future, we're going to be seeing a we're going to see Ashton Birdie come back, because I've noticed on her Instagram, because yeah, I have an Instagram. What I just use it for thoughts and stuff that I want to buy. Pretty pictures. She's coming back. I think we're going to see a return of Ashton Birdie, along with we already seen a return of Lauren Southern. But I am interested in looking into this Shoe on Head thing. You know about Shoe on Head, right?
What about her?
She's basically she broke up with Armored Skeptic.
Oh
yeah.
My.
And now she's now Sargon and all of his acolytes are basically calling her out for being a communist and working with Vouch.
Oh yes, I've heard about this ever since the Vouch was trying, Styx refused to debate Vouch. She came to his defense, and then
I mean, there's what's to debate though. That's the thing. I'll have a dialogue with Vouch. I'm not gonna, what are we debating? If we're debating is socialism more efficient? No, we know that it's not more efficient. We know that, for instance, that it kills people. We know that capitalism is more efficient. We know that there's more inequality under capitalism, but that's because there's more stuff. I don't have a cat, and I really want a cat. Does that mean that I'm less equal, or that we're more equal? Population's not popular. I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that, I'm running out of things to talk about, but I will say this. I am interested in, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this Shoe on Head debacle, because I am of the opinion that, let's see if I can find it here. I'll pull it up for you guys, because there is something that is interesting. And, I think it was Shoe on Head as well as Your Movie Sucks. You know about Your Movie Sucks, right?
Uh-huh.
They're basically flat out communists now, and they're basically saying we are all communists. We're all, trying to overthrow the country. They're talking overtly on Twitch about killing people.
Yeah, this is why the death penalty needs to exist.
I'm not I don't like the idea of the death penalty. I prefer to make a penal colony for these fuckers. No, I'm serious about that, specifically because
are you hoping they're not going to breed there?
No, they can breed all they want. The truth be told is that let them try to govern themselves. I really do like the idea of the penal colony, simply because let them destroy themselves, and if they want to govern themselves and have a might makes right or an egalitarian state, let them do it. Let them have their own little hellscapes. Don't feed them. Don't give them anything. In fact, what you could probably do is, if you wanted to have a penal system, you just get the best, well-behaved inmates from all around the country, and then you give them a land, and then you give them, the ability to grow crops, and then they will be the founders of that penal colony. And then you let in all the crappy people into the penal colony.
Here's Sargon's latest video. Hey, at Shoe on Head. Socialists are bad people.
Yeah. That's what we're going to be watching. We're going to end the show on this one, by the way. And yes, it is Wig on thought, because I personally think that a lot of the problem, I'll just say it. I think that a lot of these people on the left, as well as, whether it be, Your Movie Sucks or Shoe on Head, they're mentally fucking ill. I think that's the main issue, but there's a part in it, and I wanted to see if I could get into it. It's at 6 minutes and 44 seconds.
6 minutes and 44 seconds.
This is basically what them. This is the context of this talk. Is there are a bunch of Twitch people playing games on Twitch. They're talking about what's going to happen. What are they going to do with the police who don't comply with the socialist revolution?
Oh wow, I'm looking at this quote. Would you go on the show where Nazis talk about how the best to kill a Jew? What is this?
It's that the socialists are bad. Like people like Vos, people like the Sus. These are people who will kill people if given the opportunity. I mean, they just sit there talking about it. I'll get some clips and put them in so you can see exactly the sort of thing they're saying.
So there's this one thing that I have been thinking about a lot in terms of like abolition and I guess like a just transition out of policing in general, but like not just in a way that like, oh, I want like former killer cops to just like, you know, have a easy life afterwards after we like defund and abolish all of that, but just more like, what do we do with people who have like the skills and the tactics to be a roving murder gang when they're not employed as police? Where does that factor into discussions of abolition? But I feel like that's pretty spicy because people don't want to think about cops.
And, like, no one wants to talk about
real talk.
Yeah, that's sensible. I mean, the one reason that I'm not for prison abolition is what will we do with the cops?
It's a fair question.
I'm a little nervous to ask it sometimes, especially on Twitter, because it's definitely not a place that's known for nuance. And I don't really like typing out like all the things that I'm thinking. But yeah, it's just something that I'm like, wait, have we thought about the other end of I'm nervous to ask it sometimes, especially on Twitter, because it's definitely not a place that's known for nuance. And I don't really like typing out like all the things that I'm thinking. But yeah, it's just something that I'm like, wait, have we thought about the other end of
this girl sounds too much like AOC.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, guys, we got to figure out what we're going to do with all these people that we captured during the revolution. What do we do with them? I mean, especially since they might all have the tactics to, like, openly resist us. I mean, that's kind of problematic. I mean, it's all fun and games, you know, until we have to kill our political opposition, right? Like, I'll be frank with you. I've already replaced, like, I kind of think Armored Skeptic replaced Siobhan Hill as somebody who looks exactly like her. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of women out there who look exactly like Shu. I'll give you the case in point. There's a woman I follow on. Again, I'm the king of thoughts, but I also use thoughts to do infiltration and, you know, be my little birds, if you will. See if I can find the thought that I follow who looks exactly like Shu. And I'll send you a link because I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I'm going to end it here soon. Hello, Mr. Beckloff. How are you doing? Wait, we have thoughts for this, though. No, sweetie, we haven't. You haven't? Yeah, they haven't thought about it. They haven't thought about the fact that people like Beckloff and me will go into the woods and we will, and even Mr. Wolf, he'll turn into a werewolf, which again, let me just say this. As long as you're not a were-rat, we're okay, you know. Or, you know, a were-tiger, God forbid. Let's see if I can find her. Here we go. This is basically Shoe on Head, but she's younger and she is basically better looking. All right. Here's one instance of her. I'll send you a link, Luke. And you tell me this doesn't look like basic bitch Shoe on Head.
Maybe we should go on her YouTube channel and find her oldest videos.
Yeah, you don't do that if you want, because this is one of the thoughts I follow. They look identical, don't they?
That's not Shoe on Head.
That is not Shoe on Head. That's why I say to you, werewolves can't use SKSs. Okay, well, do you use MP40s? I don't know what. I plan to take SKS, go in the woods. Okay, you can go do that if you want.
Yeah, that's not Shoe on Head.
It's not Shoe on Head, but she looks identical, and this is the reason why I say just replace Shoe on Head, swap her out.
Wow.
Swap her, because again, they look the same, and I don't know if it's like genetic like variation, but I've seen the same problem. I kind of
I'm in Arizona. I've been near like when I'm in like the college areas, I notice this weird phenomenon where all the girls look exactly identical from appearance to clothing. Not just appearance, but how the way they dress, as if they've all subconsciously decided to wear the same uniform. Like, what the heck's going on here?
I got the reference, Wolf. Yeah, go SKS. I take a 22 into the woods, a Ruger 1022, and go in the woods. No, but in all honesty, I think that there's a physiognomy when it comes to borderline personality disorder. Like there was this one chick I was following on Instagram at one point. Her name was Nice Weinhofer, I believe her name is. she sued Thought Hub. She literally, like, she's one of these like daddy's girls in Texas. She has the same jawline as Ashton Birdie, and they're both borderlines. So I'm kind of thinking that there's the borderline jawline, if that makes any sense. I'm noticing that there is a connection between the two. I don't know what it is, but I do believe that there's a physiognomy when it comes to certain crazy women out there. This is the oldest.
That's the oldest video I could have on our channel right now.
Yep, that's the oldest video.
6 years ago.
And what is the new one? The one Kiwi, I guess, or Kiwi Sunset, I guess her name is. This is the newer one.
Following has been identified by inappropriate. All right, let's check this out. And here she is now.
Is she basically doing the whole? She's dressed up. Yeah, she's dressed up as that bitch from or was it the Hell, where the How About Has-Been Hotel?
She is. She's dressed as the Has-Been Hotel girl.
Well, now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense why the whole world's going to hell. But I will say this: it is very interesting just to see. Oh boy, what the fuck is this? I don't know if I got. Oh, what the fuck am I watching? Luke, what did you... Okay.
Normal country is such hell world.
Let's figure this shit out. I don't know what the fuck they're...
This is the intro. I guess this is her intro now?
What the fuck is going on?
Kneel for our moment of silence.
What is she doing?
Oh, I get it. Hell World, because, you know, she's the princess of hell or something.
I get normal country.
Let's.
So if you were unaware, which I'm very sure you are aware, a man named George Floyd was basically executed by the state right in front of our eyes over a counterfeit $20
BS.
He was a porn star, and the guy literally was on like so many fucking drugs known to man that he basically was gonna die regardless.
And top it all off, he was killed by a measure that the police were trained to do.
Yeah. Now I will say this. I will say this in her defense: when you have people like Mike the Cop and Donut Operator basically saying, "Yeah, this was a fucked up part on the police," which again at the beginning. I was on the same side of Donut Operator,
which is almost a condemnation of Minnesota itself for training people to do that.
Yeah, but continue. Let's hear what
build. Now, if you haven't seen this video, I will leave the link down below. Basically, a cop with his hands in his pockets, very casually and not at all sociopathic, has his knee on George Floyd's throat for like 8 minutes as George cries out about 13 times that he cannot breathe. Imagine our shock when he inevitably stops breathing and dies. There were also other cops helping hold him down, and one other cop basically just standing guard, just observing a man slowly slip into death's embrace. Normal things. Since then, the four
officers... Oh wait, this was way back in July. Yeah, she released this video on 4th of July.
You fucking commie cunt. You.
I mean, I don't know what that's. Is that really the newest video she has? She has nothing else new. I mean,
dude,
maybe, she does take time with her videos, so maybe. Oh no. Yeah, 1 month ago. Yeah, this is it. 1 month ago.
All right. I mean, it works. Yeah. I like the news show on Head personally. I like the. I don't know. I feel like it's like the the Joker, like how like. When the Joker kicked out Harley Quinn, he started looking for a new recruit or whatever. Like, and they were all in Harley outfits, I guess. Same thing.
Officers involved have been arrested. Asian, black, white, Hispanic, all the races coming together to uphold a corrupt system. The future liberals want. Apparently, some news outlets were implying George Floyd died because of high blood pressure and some drugs in his system.
Yes,
and that's proven to be the case. And that's what proven to be the case.
Yeah, and even I made a mistake on this one.
He apparently just so happened to pass away the exact moment he was having his throat crushed by a man's knee. Next thing you know, they're going to be claiming that he's got like the coronavirus. But anyway, this is not the first time this happened. There are countless...
Okay, that was funny.
That was pretty funny.
Cases of unarmed people being killed by police, disproportionately
like when she has the camera and she can do multiple takes, she's very funny, but when she's off, she's like a thought. She is really a thought.
Yep. Give me 1 second. That was Otacon. All right, keep playing.
Population, black people. So people were naturally outraged by George Floyd's death. So people started to protest and riot in the streets of Minneapolis.
Everyone was outraged by his death. Everyone, from Bernie Sanders to Rush Limbaugh. It wasn't just black people.
Yeah, the difference here is we wanted more information. That's all. We'll keep playing.
Now, the first thing I saw was somebody at a police station smashing a cop window with a skateboard. Now, that was some old school NWA old school f the police, but it very quickly spiraled out of control. People were looting businesses like Target and then burning them down. People were stealing cars from car dealerships, hot wiring construction vehicles.
I
It
have
was
not
like
seen anyone
GTA.
steal a car yet. I have not seen. No, I'm not. No, I'm not trying to be contradictory here, but I have yet to see a person like go into a car dealership and fucking high wire that shit.
Oh wow.
I have not seen it. I've not seen it. If someone could show me a clip, I would love to see it. Do it in the Discord, by the way. Keep doing it.
In real life. Not good. There was a lot of violence, most notably a fight between some guy with a sword and like 10 other people, and we were all pretty sure sword guy died. Thankfully, he did not, but we can't say the same for a 77-year-old retired policeman named David Dorn, who was killed by looters. Someone's grandpa, someone's father, dead on the sidewalk over a TV. CNN headquarters was attacked? We disavow, right guys? Right?
This is our home, Chris, you know? This is where we come to work every day. Journalists who are trying to tell the truth.
Yeah, okay, CNN. This you? There was also this really sketchy video of this umbrella guy who just randomly started smashing windows in broad daylight.
This is 47 minutes.
Jesus Christ!
It's like a whole network. It's like a whole news take. Like, don't tread on me. I like this little feature they have on YouTube now. Compulsory contrarianism.
Pick something. Pick something. I want to hear what this bitch has to say. Pick something at random.
A cop could literally punch a newborn baby in the like. Everything the right likes, we must dislike. Everything the left dislikes, we must like. Everything the right dislikes, we must like.
Oh yeah, it's compulsive
like,
contrarianism.
For example, when Fox News shoved a bunch of plastic straws into a steak to like own the libs and pretended to drink the steak, that is a good example of compulsive contrarianism. And I saw a bit of this from the left during the coronavirus lockdown. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a massive global pandemic happening right now, in case you forgot, because I know I did. Anyway, while the initial lockdown was happening, a lot of more like libertarian, right-wing type of people were protesting the lockdown. And I saw a lot of left-wing people like white knighting and defending the cops. Like this spooky tweet comes to mind.
All citizen, protesting is a non-essential activity. Return to Sector 69 immediately.
Fuck yourself.
So even though I was totally
fucking I don't know enough about this. At this point, I just want to see her burn. I don't know.
Triangles, man, sips and falls.
Well, at least we know where
Rise
she's
and
been
Falls
for
Chaz. Let's see.
How old is she now? Like, I know she blocked me on Twitter. I mean, that's I had to swap her out.
Here we go. The moral of the story.
Moral of the story, tell me.
Looting and violence coming from rioters is bad. I want you to keep in mind how history remembers things. During all this discourse, MLK is often brought up as someone who did protesting right. But if you look at political cartoons from back in the day, and you look at articles and stuff from back in the day, MLK was painted as a crazy radical, and his movement was painted as violent and destructive. Hopefully when we look back at this time in the future, we see an historical time where we reformed our police, where we reformed our criminal justice system, and not they got rid of Aunt Jemima. So that concludes Hell World Episode 1. If you guys find anything interesting you'd like me to throw into the next episode, at me on Twitter and I will give you a shout out if I use your thing. Special thank you to my patrons. I could not do this without you. This video is most definitely demonetized. If you guys would like to support me and join my Discord server, the link is down below.
Oh god. But in all honesty, I mean, I don't know what it is about women. I don't know if it's like a physiognomy thing or if it's just like everyone's buying from Amazon and they all get the same fucking shit from China. But I think the best let me see if I can find it.
Maybe we're experiencing the later effects of the mouse utopia experiment, and everyone's just going crazy.
Perhaps, but I think it was a Duke Nukem quote about women and chips. You know about that? You know that quote?
What's that quote?
Duke Nukem 1993 quote. 1993 quote about women. It's like all women born after 1993 let's see if I can find it. Then see if I can play, because this will be a perfect time to quit it. Let's see if I know. Let's see. Women born after 1993 meme. Sorry about that. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Oh, let's see. Here it is.
Any female born after 1993 can't cook. All they know is McDonald's, charge they phone, twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chip and lie.
That is basically Sean Head in a nutshell. Oh my god, we're so fucked. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, until the world ends, we will continue to operate as if it's going to continue spinning. Luke, any final thoughts?
If I refuse, why worry about something that isn't going to happen?
Why worry about something that isn't going to happen? Oh, that's perfect. They should put that on our money.
They should. Be good to one another. Take care of one another. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, saving the West is a side quest. This is the Digital Renegade podcast. Out.